Okay, folks, hopefully you had a chance to watch our story about the Gladiator fan who won a trip to Costa Rica, and he won the trip on February 1st, more than a month before COVID kicked in and everything shut down. And here we are more than 2 years later, and he still doesn't have his trip. So I'm here with Matt Wetherington. Say the name of your firm, Matt.
Sure. I'm Matt Wetherington with the Wetherington Law Firm here in Atlanta.
Right here in Atlanta. We've done quite a bit together over the years. And so we're going to talk about, does this guy have a case? Does he?
I mean, there's two things here. There's the legal side and there's the practical side. From the practical side first, I mean, the pandemic has been a very difficult time for everyone, businesses, and just normal everyday people as well. And we've all tried to work together and, basically be patient and accommodating to everyone. But at the end of the day, there is still the legal piece. And that is when you offer a promotion or you enter into an agreement with someone, you still have to honor the terms of that promotion or that agreement.
All right. So, but in this case, it happened a month before COVID kicked in, but the president of the team basically said, COVID, nearly put us out of business.
Yeah. And that's a difficult situation for an organization to be in. But it doesn't change the fact that if this guy wanted to proceed forward with a legal claim, he probably would succeed. There are very specific rules for offering sweepstakes. There are very specific rules for honoring agreements when, in the contract. And unless there are some additional terms that that's not been made available that I don't have yet, there's really just not a way for them to wiggle out of that. The best thing here is to work with your fan and come to an amicable resolution.
Is it a breach of contract then?
It probably is a breach of contract, but it's easier as a breach of the sweepstakes laws in Georgia. So Georgia has rules on how sweepstakes work. And when you offer a promotion or a giveaway or a sweepstakes, like there's very specific rules that you have to follow, and failing to come through and honor the agreement, under the promotion at the end can subject you to civil penalties, as well as just monetary damages, in addition to giving the award itself.
And you were looking up a code that you were telling me about earlier to clarify. Is that the code you were talking about?
Yeah. So, I mean, this is governed by a couple of different rules. So the first one is just the Unfair Business Practices Act, or Georgia's Business Practices Act. And that covers a couple of different code sections, but really where you drill down to at the end of the day is OCGA 10-1-393, which contains basically the rules for running a promotional giveaway in Georgia. And one of those rules very clearly says that when you offer a promotion, you have to either have a term that explains when the prize will be provided, and if you don't have a term in there or a way for basically the context to disappear, then you've got to provide the prize or something of equal monetary value within 30 days. And here we are 2 years later, and it's just a difficult situation for the company to be in.
Right. And they did offer him kind of a consolation where they secured 2 round trip tickets on Delta first class to Costa Rica, but he has to pay for the rest of the trip.
Sure. So that's called a substitution offer, or at least just it's an offer. But the code section very clearly contemplates that as well. I mean, it says very clearly that you can't substitute prizes or offer something of lesser value. You have to either give the person the prize as advertised, or you have to give them equal monetary value. There's just not a lot of wiggle room here. And this is just going to come down to whether the person that won the sweepstakes is going to let the Gladiators off the hook or not.
Right. And the Gladiators have said that they were the ones who were offering the prize, but when they promoted it through a radio station. Is the radio station also responsible?
It depends on their agreement with the radio station. If this is just an actual advertisement, as in they took out an ad with 680 The Fan that said, come and join our sweepstakes, then no, 680 The Fan wouldn't be on the hook. But if 680 The Fan is a partner in the promotion and receives something of value, or there's some other terms that make them like a co-sponsor of this sweepstakes, then yeah, they could be responsible as well. This is very much the typical "it depends" answer that's not very satisfying.
Right. And he didn't have to buy a ticket, like a raffle to enter, but he did have to, the fan had to buy a ticket to the game in order to enter the giveaway. Does that change
No,
anything?
no, that doesn't change anything one way or the other. So one of the baseline rules of any sweepstakes is that you can't be required to purchase anything to join the sweepstakes. So presumably this would be something where once you're in the arena, even if you didn't buy a ticket, you would be eligible to participate in the sweepstakes. Because if they were to require additional rules or purchasing things to participate, then that could set them up for trouble as well. And that's kind of a separate issue. Like here, you show up, you put your name in the hat, because they said if you put your name in the hat, you're eligible. He's met the eligibility requirement. Then he's turned around and had his name pulled out of the hat. He's won the sweepstakes. All the rules apply at that point.
There was one other term that someone brought up to me, another attorney, at force majeure. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, so force majeure is just when you've got kind of an unexpected event. COVID is absolutely a force majeure event, but it doesn't necessarily absolve you of your responsibility to honor the other terms of the agreement, because they can still give him the monetary value of the trip. So force majeure would be something like, the only possible, there's no monetary value to going to Costa Rica, and there was a unique experience there. And then Costa Rica had a hurricane and the unique experience was no longer available. Like, let's say he was going to go watch turtles or something like that, and the turtles' habitat was damaged. Then that would be force majeure, and they wouldn't be, have to give him money or anything like that, because it's a otherwise valueless experience. But here, you can still give him the value of the trip, even if COVID is raging everywhere.
Do you think he deserves this trip?
Here's kind of the truth of the world at the end of the day. So if the Gladiators are telling the truth, then this is a serious financial burden for them. And if the fan is a very strong, supportive fan of the Gladiators, they just need to start talking and come to an agreement that everyone can live with. Because Gladiators, at the end of the day, is based on what we've seen and what's been represented to us by the Gladiators to this point, they really don't have a defense to not giving this man the prize, or at least the monetary value.
All right, Matt. Thank you
Excellent.
very much.
No problem.
And I'm going to end it here. And thank you all for watching. And I hope you learned a little bit. I sure did. All right.